The economic war machine, trade as political weapon. The merchant princes. In the sprawling markets of Tlatelolco, where the scent of chocolate beans mixed with the metallic gleam of obsidian blades and the air crackled with negotiations conducted in a dozen languages, the true architects of Aztec imperial power moved through crowds of buyers and sellers with the calculated precision of generals directing battlefield maneuvers, for these were the Pasteca, the merchant princes whose understanding of supply chains, market psychology, and economic leverage had forged weapons more devastating than any obsidian club, while creating the invisible infrastructure that sustained an empire spanning from tropical coasts to highland valleys through mechanisms that conquered hearts and minds rather than merely bodies and territories. The greatest among these economic strategists was Itzalnakali, whose family had transformed from humble cacao traders into masters of continental commerce through 3 generations of careful relationship building, strategic information gathering, and systematic market manipulation that had elevated their house from peripheral suppliers to essential intermediaries, whose favor could determine the prosperity or ruin of entire city-states across Mesoamerica, while their intelligence networks provided the imperial throne with insights that shaped both diplomatic policy and military strategy. The morning council that convened in the obsidian-walled chambers beneath the Great Market revealed the true scope of economic warfare as Nakali spread feathered maps across jade-inlaid tables while explaining to assembled trade captains how control over specific trade routes and resource monopolies could achieve political objectives that had eluded military campaigns for generations, demonstrating through careful analysis of tribute flows and commercial dependencies how strategic economic pressure could transform independent cities into willing tributaries without deploying a single warrior. The intelligence networks that connected Pacheca operations across vast distances included carefully cultivated relationships with local merchants, artisans, and administrators whose daily observations regarding resource availability, political tensions, and military preparations provided continuous streams of actionable intelligence that reached Tenochtitlan's planning councils long before official diplomatic channels could deliver similar information, enabling preemptive economic strategies that could destabilize potential enemies or strengthen valuable allies. The cacao monopoly that formed the foundation of Pacheca influence represented perhaps history's first systematic example of commodity price manipulation, as merchant families coordinated production quotas, storage facilities, and distribution schedules to maintain artificial scarcity in key markets while ensuring reliable supplies for imperial consumption and diplomatic gift-giving, demonstrating how control over essential commodities could create dependencies that transcended traditional political boundaries and cultural divisions. The cotton textile networks that connected highland production centers with tropical dye-stuff suppliers exemplified the complexity of economic warfare, as Pacheca merchants established exclusive relationships with specialized artisans while controlling access to rare materials and sophisticated techniques, creating value chains that generated enormous profits while providing employment and prosperity for cooperative communities, but could be instantly withdrawn from territories that challenged imperial authority. The obsidian trade corridors that channeled the empire's most important military resource through carefully controlled distribution systems demonstrated how strategic materials could serve political objectives beyond their immediate practical applications, as access to high-quality volcanic glass for weapons and tools became a form of diplomatic favor that could reward loyal allies while denying essential resources to potential enemies or rebellious tributaries. The precious feather markets that supplied the raw materials for elite ceremonial garments and religious regalia operated according to sophisticated quality standards and authentication procedures that prevented fraud while maintaining the exclusivity and prestige associated with imperial court culture, creating economic incentives for distant communities to maintain peaceful relationships with Aztec merchants rather than risking exclusion from these lucrative commercial opportunities. The jade and turquoise supply chains that provided materials for religious art and elite ornamentation involved complex negotiations with mining communities and specialized craftsmen whose cooperation was essential for maintaining the visual symbols of imperial authority while creating economic dependencies that extended Aztec influence into regions that had never experienced military conquest or political annexation. The gold trade relationships that connected Aztec territories with distant sources of precious metals through carefully negotiated exchange agreements demonstrated how economic diplomacy could achieve territorial influence without the costs and risks associated with military expansion, while providing resources essential for maintaining the magnificent displays of wealth that impressed foreign dignitaries and reinforced imperial prestige. The tribute coordination systems that managed flows of diverse goods from hundreds of subject communities required sophisticated logistical capabilities and administrative expertise that transformed Tenochtitlan into the economic hub of Mesoamerica while creating employment and prosperity for thousands of merchants, transport workers, and administrative personnel whose livelihoods depended upon continued imperial expansion and political stability. The market regulation mechanisms that ensured fair weights, honest dealings, and dispute resolution in major commercial centers enhanced the reputation and reliability of Aztec-controlled trade networks while attracting merchants from distant territories who preferred conducting business within well-regulated commercial environments rather than dealing with the uncertainties and potential frauds associated with less sophisticated trading systems. The Pochteca intelligence, the systematic espionage networks operated by Pochteca merchants represented the most sophisticated intelligence-gathering system in pre-Columbian America, as traveling traders used their legitimate commercial activities as cover for collecting detailed information regarding military capabilities, political tensions, resource availability, and strategic vulnerabilities that could inform imperial planning, while their extensive language skills and cultural adaptability enabled them to operate effectively in diverse territories without arousing suspicion from local authorities or competitors. The training procedures that prepared young Pochteca for intelligence missions included instruction in multiple languages, cultural protocols, military observation techniques, and memory enhancement methods that enabled them to gather and retain vast amounts of detailed information without written records that might compromise their cover identities or reveal the scope of Aztec intelligence operations to foreign governments that might restrict commercial access or implement security measures. The communication systems that transmitted intelligence from field agents to central planning councils utilized coded messages embedded within routine commercial correspondence while employing trusted courier networks and predetermined signal systems that could convey urgent information regarding military threats, political opportunities, or economic disruptions requiring immediate strategic response from imperial administrators or military commanders. The cover identities that protected Pochteca intelligence operations included elaborate personal histories and commercial credentials that could withstand scrutiny from suspicious officials, while their genuine expertise in trade goods and market conditions provided authentic foundations for interactions with local merchants and administrators who might otherwise detect inconsistencies, suggesting ulterior motives or hidden agendas. The target identification procedures that focused intelligence gathering efforts on high-value objectives included systematic assessment of political leadership, military organization, economic vulnerabilities, and social tensions that might create opportunities for imperial influence or present threats to existing territorial control, while prioritizing information requirements according to strategic importance and operational feasibility. The penetration techniques that enabled access to restricted information included cultivation of relationships with key informants, participation in local social and religious activities, and strategic positioning within commercial networks that provided opportunities to observe military preparations, political deliberations, and resource management activities that revealed strategic capabilities and intentions. The economic intelligence that focused specifically on commercial vulnerabilities and market opportunities included detailed analysis of supply chains, production capabilities, transportation systems, and financial arrangements that could be exploited through strategic economic pressure, while identifying potential partners for expanding Aztec commercial influence and territorial control through peaceful means. The political intelligence that assessed leadership dynamics and governmental stability included observation of succession disputes, factional conflicts, policy debates, and popular discontent that might create opportunities for diplomatic intervention or indicate potential threats to regional stability, requiring preemptive military or economic responses from imperial authorities. The military intelligence that evaluated defensive capabilities and strategic planning included assessment of fortifications, troop strength, weapons technology, command structures, and operational doctrines that could inform military campaign planning, while identifying weaknesses that might enable rapid conquest or defensive vulnerabilities requiring enhanced imperial security measures. The cultural intelligence that analyzed social customs, religious practices, and psychological characteristics enabled more effective diplomatic approaches and commercial strategies, while providing insights regarding motivations and decision-making processes that could enhance the effectiveness of imperial influence operations and reduce the likelihood of misunderstandings or cultural conflicts. The counterintelligence measures that protected Pochteca operations from foreign detection included security protocols, deception techniques, and operational compartmentalization that prevented compromise of intelligence networks while providing false information to foreign authorities who might attempt to use Aztec merchants for their own intelligence gathering or political influence operations. The intelligence analysis procedures that transformed raw information into actionable strategic assessments included systematic evaluation of source reliability, information correlation, threat assessment, and opportunity identification that provided imperial planners with comprehensive understanding of regional conditions and strategic alternatives for achieving political and economic objectives through optimal resource allocation and strategic timing. Market manipulation, the sophisticated price control mechanisms that enabled Pacheco merchants to influence regional economies, operated through coordinated manipulation of supply schedules, storage facilities, and distribution networks that could create artificial scarcity or abundance in specific markets while maintaining the appearance of natural market fluctuations that avoided suspicion from local authorities or competing merchants who might attempt to counteract imperial economic influence through alternative supply arrangements or political interventions. The commodity hoarding strategies that concentrated essential resources under Aztec control included systematic accumulation of cacao beans, cotton textiles, obsidian tools, and precious materials during periods of abundant supply, while utilizing extensive warehouse networks and preservation techniques that enabled strategic releases during times of natural scarcity or political crisis when artificial shortage could achieve maximum economic and political leverage. The supply chain disruption techniques that weakened competing powers included strategic interference with trade routes, labor disputes among key artisans, and diplomatic pressure on critical suppliers, while employing plausible alternative explanations for commercial problems that prevented direct retaliation against Aztec interests and maintained the fiction that market disruptions resulted from natural causes rather than deliberate economic warfare. The currency manipulation systems that exploited the universal acceptance of cacao beans as medium of exchange included quality control standards that favored Aztec-controlled production regions while implementing authentication procedures and storage requirements that increased transaction costs for competitors and enhanced the convenience and reliability of dealing with authorized Pacheco merchants rather than independent traders. The credit and debt arrangements that created financial dependencies among trading partners included generous lending terms for loyal allies combined with strategic collection practices that could bankrupt uncooperative cities, while their complex interest calculations and collateral requirements created long-term obligations that transformed independent communities into economic satellites requiring imperial approval for major financial decisions. The technological monopolies that restricted access to advanced production techniques included exclusive licensing agreements with master craftsmen combined with control over essential raw materials that prevented unauthorized reproduction of high-quality goods while maintaining artificial scarcity that supported premium pricing and enhanced the prestige associated with imperial commercial networks. The labor market interventions that controlled skilled artisan availability included recruitment programs that attracted talented workers to imperial territories through superior compensation and working conditions, while strategic labor disputes and training restrictions prevented competing powers from developing comparable production capabilities that might challenge Aztec commercial dominance in essential goods categories. The transportation infrastructure control that dominated trade road efficiency included strategic investments in road construction, bridge maintenance, and security services that created competitive advantages for imperial merchants, while their toll collection systems and permit requirements increased costs for independent traders and foreign competitors who lacked political connections with road administrators. The quality standardization programs that established imperial commercial credentials included certification procedures for authentic goods, combined with reputation management systems that enhanced consumer confidence in Aztec-approved products while creating barriers to entry for competitors who lacked the resources or political connections necessary to meet imperial standards and obtain commercial authorization. The information asymmetry exploitation that provided Pacheco merchants with superior market intelligence included exclusive access to production data, political developments, and consumer preference trends, while their communication networks and analytical capabilities enabled rapid response to changing market conditions that caught competitors unprepared and created opportunities for strategic profit maximization. The vertical integration strategies that controlled entire value chains from raw material extraction through finished product distribution included ownership or exclusive contracts with suppliers, processors, transporters, and retailers, while these comprehensive arrangements eliminated competitors' access to essential resources and distribution channels, creating dependencies that extended imperial influence without direct political control. The market segmentation techniques that maximized revenue extraction from diverse consumer groups included differentiated pricing strategies based on regional wealth, political status, and strategic importance, while their product customization capabilities and service options created customer loyalty that transcended simple price competition and enhanced long-term commercial relationships. Resource monopolies. The obsidian control systems that dominated Mesoamerica's most essential military resource operated through exclusive relationships with volcanic source regions, combined with sophisticated processing facilities and distribution networks that maintained Aztec technological superiority, while their quality grading standards and authentication procedures prevented inferior products from undermining consumer confidence in imperial commercial brands that had become synonymous with reliability and excellence. The cacao plantation networks that supplied the empire's most important luxury commodity and primary medium of exchange included direct ownership of premium production areas, combined with exclusive purchasing agreements and technical assistance programs that enhanced yield and quality while creating economic dependencies among growing regions that relied upon imperial markets for prosperity and political stability. The cotton cultivation monopolies that controlled the raw material for Mesoamerica's most valuable textile industry included agricultural extension services, irrigation infrastructure investments, and guaranteed purchase contracts that provided farmers with economic security while ensuring imperial access to consistent supplies of high-quality fiber that could be processed into luxury goods, commanding premium prices in domestic and international markets. The precious metal extraction operations that secured gold, silver, and copper supplies essential for religious art and diplomatic gifts included direct mining concessions combined with technological assistance and security services that enhanced productivity, while their processing facilities and quality certification programs maintained standards that satisfied imperial court requirements and international commercial expectations. The tropical feather monopolies that provided raw materials for elite ceremonial garments and religious regalia included exclusive relationships with hunting communities combined with conservation programs and technical training that ensured sustainable supplies, while their authentication and grading systems prevented fraud and maintained the prestige associated with official imperial ceremonial equipment. The jade and turquoise procurement networks that supplied materials for religious sculpture and elite ornamentation included direct relationships with mining communities combined with quality assessment expertise and processing capabilities that transformed raw materials into finished products meeting imperial artistic standards, while their distribution systems ensured availability for authorized artisans and official ceremonial purposes. The hardwood timber monopolies that controlled construction materials for temples, palaces, and military equipment included forest management programs combined with transportation infrastructure and processing facilities that provided builders with superior materials, while their quality control standards and delivery schedules supported major construction projects that enhanced imperial prestige and territorial control. The medicinal plant cultivation systems that secured essential materials for religious ceremonies and healing practices included botanical gardens, agricultural extension programs, and quality certification procedures that ensured purity and potency, while their distribution networks provided authorized practitioners with reliable supplies of authentic materials meeting traditional standards and religious requirements. The specialized tool production monopolies that controlled access to advanced agricultural and craft implements included exclusive relationships with master tool makers combined with raw material supplies and technical innovations that enhanced productivity and quality, while their distribution systems ensured availability for imperial projects and loyal communities, while restricting access for potential enemies or rebellious territories. A luxury goods integration that combined multiple resource monopolies into comprehensive commercial packages included coordinated production schedules, quality standards, and distribution networks that provided customers with complete solutions, while their service packages and technical support created customer loyalty that transcended individual product categories and enhanced long-term commercial relationships. The strategic reserve management that maintained emergency stockpiles of essential resources included sophisticated inventory systems combined with preservation techniques and security measures that ensured imperial self-sufficiency during crises, while their rotating stock procedures and quality maintenance programs preserved material integrity and prevented deterioration that might compromise strategic capabilities. The export restriction programs that limited foreign access to essential imperial resources included licensing requirements combined with quota systems and end-user verification procedures that prevented strategic materials from reaching potential enemies, while maintaining commercial relationships with approved trading partners who supported imperial political objectives and contributed to regional stability. Tributary economics, the systematic debt creation mechanisms that transformed independent cities into economic vassals, operated through carefully structured loan agreements that appeared beneficial initially but contained terms that made full repayment virtually impossible, while creating legal obligations that could be enforced through economic pressure or military intervention if diplomatic persuasion proved insufficient to maintain compliance with imperial financial requirements and political expectations. The tribute assessment procedures that calculated precise economic obligations for subject territories included comprehensive surveys of agricultural productivity, manufacturing capabilities, population levels, and resource availability combined with political evaluations that considered strategic importance, rebellion risk, and administrative costs, while ensuring that tribute demands maximized imperial revenue without destroying local economies or provoking costly resistance movements. The economic dependency creation strategies that made subject cities reliant upon imperial commercial networks included preferential trade agreements that provided access to essential goods and luxury items unavailable elsewhere, combined with technical assistance and infrastructure investments that enhanced local prosperity while creating dependencies that made economic separation from the imperial system financially ruinous and politically impossible. The tribute payment enforcement systems that ensured consistent revenue flows included monitoring procedures that tracked delivery schedules and quality standards, combined with escalating penalty systems and military intervention capabilities that provided subject communities with strong incentives to maintain compliance while offering rewards for exceptional performance that encourage voluntary cooperation rather than grudging obedience. The economic integration programs that connected subject territories to imperial commercial networks included transportation infrastructure investments combined with market access privileges and technical training that enhanced local production capabilities while ensuring that increased prosperity remained dependent upon continued political cooperation and economic integration with imperial commercial systems rather than independent development. The labor tribute systems that supplemented material payments with human resources included rotation schedules that provided imperial projects with skilled workers combined with training programs and compensation arrangements that made service attractive while ensuring that subject communities contributed essential human capital for major construction, agricultural, and military projects requiring specialized expertise and large-scale coordination. The tribute diversification requirements that spread economic risks across multiple sectors included balanced portfolios of agricultural products, manufactured goods, raw materials, and specialized services combined with seasonal scheduling and quality standards that ensured consistent imperial revenue while preventing over-reliance on specific commodities that might experience production problems or market disruptions. The economic surveillance networks that monitored subject territory prosperity included regular reporting requirements combined with independent verification procedures and intelligence gathering that provided imperial administrators with detailed understanding of local economic conditions while preventing false reporting or hidden wealth accumulation that might indicate developing capacity for political independence or military resistance. The tribute payment scheduling systems that coordinated deliveries from hundreds of subject communities included transportation logistics combined with storage facilities and processing capabilities that managed enormous quantities of diverse goods while their quality control procedures and inventory management systems ensured efficient utilization and distribution according to imperial priorities and strategic requirements. The economic incentive structures that rewarded exceptional tribute performance included reduced assessment levels combined with preferential trading privileges and infrastructure investments that made cooperation profitable, while their recognition programs and ceremonial honors enhanced local prestige and encouraged continued loyalty to imperial economic systems rather than exploration of alternative political arrangements. The financial arbitration services that resolved tribute disputes included formal hearings combined with expert testimony and standardized procedures that provided subject communities with fair treatment while maintaining imperial authority and ensuring that disagreements over economic obligations could be resolved without military intervention that might disrupt broader commercial relationships or regional stability. The economic development assistance programs that enhanced subject territory capabilities included agricultural extension services combined with technological transfer and market development that increased local prosperity while ensuring that enhanced productivity translated into increased tribute payments that served imperial interests rather than creating resources that might support independence movements or resistance activities. Commercial sanctions, the systematic trade embargo procedures that isolated hostile territories from essential commercial networks included comprehensive supplier agreements that prevented authorized merchants from conducting business with target communities, combined with alternative sourcing arrangements that maintained imperial supply security, while their enforcement mechanisms and penalty systems ensured compliance among trading partners who might otherwise pursue profitable opportunities regardless of political consequences. The selective resource denial strategies that deprived enemies of critical materials included monopoly control over strategic commodities, combined with diplomatic pressure on alternative suppliers and transportation route restrictions that made circumventing imperial economic sanctions extremely difficult and expensive while maintaining plausible explanations for supply shortages that avoided direct confrontation with neutral parties. The financial isolation techniques that excluded target communities from regional credit and currency systems included banking restrictions combined with transaction monitoring and identification procedures that made international commerce virtually impossible, while their alternative payment requirements and verification systems created insurmountable obstacles for communities attempting to maintain commercial relationships despite imperial disapproval. The labor recruitment programs that drained skilled artisans and professionals from sanctioned territories included superior compensation packages combined with relocation assistance and career advancement opportunities that made imperial service attractive, while their exclusive employment contracts and non-compete agreements prevented valuable human capital from returning to support development in communities under economic pressure. The transportation infrastructure restrictions that isolated enemy territories from trade routes included permit requirements combined with security checkpoints and toll collection systems that made commercial movement extremely difficult and expensive, while their road maintenance priorities and bridge construction projects enhanced access for loyal communities while neglecting or actively degrading facilities serving hostile territories. The quality certification denial programs that excluded enemy products from premium markets included authentication procedures combined with safety standards and reputation management systems that prevented communities under sanctions from accessing lucrative commercial opportunities, while their alternative supplier development programs provided imperial allies with exclusive access to profitable market segments. The diplomatic commercial pressure that enlisted allies in enforcement efforts included trade agreement provisions combined with political incentives and mutual benefit arrangements that made cooperation with imperial sanctions profitable for regional partners, while their information sharing and coordination mechanisms enhanced effectiveness and prevented circumvention through alternative trading relationships. The strategic timing coordination that maximized economic pressure included seasonal scheduling combined with political opportunity assessment and resource availability analysis that ensured sanctions achieved maximum impact during periods of vulnerability, while their duration management and escalation procedures provided clear incentives for political cooperation and conflict resolution. The humanitarian exemption procedures that maintained moral credibility while preserving economic pressure included essential goods categories combined with monitoring systems and distribution controls that prevented suffering among civilian populations, while ensuring that sanctioned governments received minimal benefits from exempted transactions and faced continued pressure to modify political behavior. The sanctions enforcement monitoring that ensured compliance among imperial merchants included inspection procedures combined with reporting requirements and penalty systems that prevented unauthorized trade, while their reward programs and recognition systems encouraged voluntary cooperation with economic warfare objectives rather than requiring constant surveillance and enforcement intervention. The economic intelligence gathering that supported sanctions effectiveness included market monitoring combined with financial flow analysis and political impact assessment that provided administrators with detailed understanding of sanction effects while enabling adjustments and modifications that enhanced pressure while avoiding counterproductive consequences that might undermine broader strategic objectives. The sanctions termination procedures that restored normal commercial relationships following political cooperation included gradual lifting schedules combined with trust-building measures and performance verification that ensured lasting political settlement, while their economic development assistance and reconstruction programs provided positive incentives for maintaining cooperation rather than relying solely on threat of renewed economic pressure. Trade route dominance. The strategic infrastructure investments that controlled continental commerce included systematic road construction programs combined with bridge engineering projects and way station development that created transportation networks serving imperial commercial interests, while their maintenance schedules and security arrangements ensured reliable access for authorized merchants while creating obstacles and additional costs for competitors attempting to utilize alternative routing. The geographic choke point control that dominated essential transportation corridors included military garrison placement combined with administrative checkpoints and toll collection facilities that enabled imperial authorities to monitor all commercial traffic while extracting revenue and gathering intelligence regarding enemy activities, resource movements, and political developments that might affect imperial security or economic interests. The transportation service monopolies that controlled essential logistics capabilities included exclusive pack animal breeding programs combined with specialized equipment manufacturing and training systems that ensured imperial merchants enjoyed superior transportation efficiency, while their service contracts and maintenance networks created dependencies that made independent operation extremely difficult for competing commercial organizations. The route security provision that protected imperial commerce while endangering competitors included military patrol schedules combined with intelligence networks and rapid response capabilities that ensured safe passage for authorized traders, while their selective enforcement and protection policies created differential risk levels that favored imperial commercial interests over independent or foreign trading operations. The infrastructure maintenance programs that ensured optimal conditions for imperial commerce included engineering expertise combined with construction labor and material supplies that maintained roads, bridges, and facilities serving strategic commercial objectives, while their investment priorities and resource allocation decisions enhanced routes serving loyal territories while neglecting or degrading facilities that might benefit potential enemies. The communication systems that coordinated commercial traffic and administrative oversight included messenger services combined with signal networks and information processing capabilities that enabled real-time management of complex transportation logistics, while their intelligence gathering and reporting procedures provided administrators with comprehensive understanding of commercial activities and potential security threats. The permit and documentation requirements that controlled access to premium transportation facilities included authorization procedures combined with background verification and performance standards that ensured only approved merchants could utilize utilized the most efficient and secure routes, while their fee structures and service levels created economic incentives for cooperation with imperial commercial policies. The storage and warehousing facilities that supported long-distance commerce included strategic location selection combined with security features and inventory management systems that enhanced the efficiency and reliability of imperial trade networks, while their access policies and service arrangements provided competitive advantages for authorized merchants over independent or foreign competitors. The commercial law enforcement that maintained order and resolved disputes included judicial procedures combined with standardized regulations and penalty systems that created predictable and fair business environments that attracted merchants to imperial trade routes, while their arbitration services and conflict resolution mechanisms enhanced the reputation and reliability of commercial relationships within imperial territories. The trade route expansion programs that extended imperial commercial influence included exploration expeditions combined with diplomatic negotiations and infrastructure development that opened new territories to imperial commerce, while their partnership arrangements and development assistance created economic relationships that enhanced political influence without requiring direct military conquest or administrative control. The competitive route development that created alternatives to foreign-controlled transportation included parallel infrastructure construction combined with service enhancement and cost optimization that provided imperial merchants with superior alternatives, while their strategic routing and destination selection undermined foreign commercial advantages and enhanced imperial economic independence and territorial influence. The regional integration coordination that connected multiple route segments into comprehensive transportation networks included scheduling harmonization combined with service standardization and quality assurance that created seamless commercial experiences, while their coordination mechanisms and management systems optimized resource utilization and enhanced overall network efficiency and commercial attractiveness for imperial and allied merchants. The economic empire, the comprehensive commercial integration that unified diverse territories under imperial economic control, represented perhaps history's most sophisticated example of peaceful territorial expansion, as systematic market penetration, resource monopolies, and financial dependencies created political influence that exceeded the effectiveness of military conquest, while providing sustainable revenue streams that funded continued expansion and administrative development without the massive costs and ongoing security requirements associated with direct military occupation. The cultural transformation that accompanied economic integration included adoption of imperial commercial standards combined with technological transfer and educational programs that enhanced local capabilities while creating shared professional identities and common business practices that transcended traditional ethnic and political boundaries, fostering loyalty to imperial commercial systems rather than local political authorities who might resist economic integration. The administrative efficiency that managed continental-scale commercial operations included sophisticated record-keeping systems combined with standardized procedures and quality control mechanisms that coordinated activities across hundreds of communities, while their communication networks and decision-making procedures enabled rapid response to changing conditions and strategic opportunities that required coordinated action from multiple administrative levels and geographic regions. The technological innovation that enhanced imperial commercial capabilities included engineering advances combined with manufacturing improvements and logistical innovations that provided competitive advantages, while their research and development programs and knowledge transfer systems ensured continued technological superiority that maintained imperial commercial dominance despite attempts by competitors to duplicate successful techniques and organizational methods. The diplomatic integration that connected economic relationships with political influence included formal alliance agreements combined with cultural exchange programs and marriage arrangements that created personal relationships and institutional connections that reinforced commercial dependencies while providing mechanisms for conflict resolution and policy coordination that served both imperial interests and local community welfare. The economic stability that provided prosperity for imperial territories and trading partners included diversified revenue streams combined with strategic reserves and risk management systems that maintained consistent growth despite periodic disruptions, while their development assistance and investment programs enhanced local capabilities and created employment opportunities that generated popular support for continued imperial economic relationships. The educational systems that trained commercial personnel and administrative staff included specialized schools combined with apprenticeship programs and continuing education that ensured high-quality performance, while their curriculum development and instructor training programs adapted to changing technological requirements and administrative challenges that required enhanced capabilities and specialized knowledge. The legal frameworks that governed commercial relationships and conflict resolution included comprehensive commercial codes combined with arbitration procedures and enforcement mechanisms that provided predictable and fair business environments, while their treaty arrangements and diplomatic protocols ensured that international commercial commercial relationships operated according to mutually beneficial principles that enhanced regional stability and prosperity. The environmental management programs that ensured sustainable resource utilization included conservation policies combined with restoration projects and alternative development strategies that maintained long-term productivity, while their monitoring systems and adaptive management procedures prevented overexploitation and ensured continued availability of essential resources for commercial and strategic purposes. The social integration initiatives that connected diverse populations through shared economic opportunities included employment programs combined with skills training and career advancement that created upward mobility and enhanced living standards, while their cultural preservation policies and community development programs maintained local identities and traditions within broader imperial economic systems. The strategic planning capabilities that guided long-term imperial development included comprehensive analysis systems combined with scenario planning and contingency preparation that enabled proactive responses to changing conditions, while their evaluation procedures and performance assessment systems ensured optimal resource allocation and strategic decision-making that served both immediate operational requirements and long-term imperial objectives. The legacy preservation systems that maintained institutional knowledge and operational continuity included documentation procedures combined with training programs and succession planning that ensured smooth transitions and consistent performance, while their institutional development and organizational improvement programs adapted to changing requirements and enhanced capabilities that maintained imperial commercial superiority across generations and changing political circumstances. Through the patient application of economic leverage and commercial strategy rather than military force and political coercion, the Aztec Empire demonstrated that systematic market manipulation, resource control, and financial dependency creation could achieve territorial influence and political control that exceeded the effectiveness of traditional conquest, while creating sustainable relationships that served both imperial interests and local community welfare through shared prosperity and mutual benefit. The Pacheco merchant princes thus revealed for future generations the eternal truth that economic power could achieve political objectives that military force alone could never accomplish, while demonstrating that patient commercial strategy and systematic market development could create lasting territorial influence through mechanisms that enhanced rather than destroyed local prosperity and cultural identity. In the end, the economic war machine that powered Aztec expansion proved that authentic imperial greatness required not merely the ability to conquer territories through force, but the wisdom to transform conquered lands into willing partners through economic opportunity and commercial benefit that served both imperial authority and local community welfare through sustainable relationships that endured beyond military campaigns and political upheavals.